have been watching this podcast since last year, you'll know that last year I had a job interview where they asked me, how do you think this job is going to factor into your personal development? That question had me seeing stars. But since then, I've now trained my brain to look at jobs as, how are you helping me develop personally? So the next time I have a job interview that has that question, please, I'm gonna be ready. Hello, my dear listener. Welcome to Redoctoring. This is the podcast that allows you to be a different kind of doctor. My name is Dr. Diane, and if you are new over here, thank you for joining on this episode. I hope you will be enlightened and informed. We do all of those good things here, thinking about our careers differently, whether clinical, non-clinical, just having the conversations and saying the quiet thing out loud. If you are a returning subscriber, returning listener, thank you for coming back. High five. You caught it. You caught it. And if you are listening, I hope you heard the audible clap of the high fives. So yes, like I said in the opener, your job is very much linked to your self-development. If you actually think about it, we are there for 8 hours a day, minimum. Well, me now that I'm in corporate, it's 8 hours a day. But like if you're in the hospital, it's 80 hours overtime and then however amount of time every single day. Like if you actually deep it, our jobs are actually our playing field for personal development. In today's episode, I want to share a few things that I've noticed that I have to let go of in my new corporate role that served me well, or kind of, they served me in clinical medicine, but now I find in non-clinical, in corporate, it is hampering. It's like weighing me down and I need to let it out. So I make this episode not to bash on clinical medicine, not to, I love clinical medicine. We all need doctors, we all need nurses, we all need hospitals, because we will all one day be sick. We will all one day need to give birth. We will all need health professionals. So I am always the biggest champions. But for myself personally, with regards to how I share in this podcast, how I'm trying to look at my career differently and encouraging others to do it in this safe space, I just want to share how I'm learning and growing and moving into newer things, This podcast serves two functions. It serves the function of educating, sharing, creating a space for everyone to just see a different perspective of medicine and maybe hear what you have always been thinking actually said by somebody else out loud. The second purpose of this podcast is for me to overshare my career journey. I'm an oversharer in real life, and some people say, oh my gosh, that's such a bad thing, you need to move in silence. But it does serve its purpose. And I believe that by sharing where I'm at, by being open and vulnerable about my career, it will also help you think about your career in a more nuanced sense as well. So let's get to it. I've noted 5 things, and I hope you will have an open mind with me as I share. So let me tell you a quick story time, okay? The other day at work, I had to figure out, so I'm in a new system, new career, new sector, all of those new things, and I had to figure out something by myself. But here's the thing, help was available. But because I am just so used to struggling on something before I actually ask for help, that is what I did. I said, I cannot go to somebody else, ask for help, and not prove that I tried to help myself. Now, that is very African coded. That is very, black girl, you need to struggle before you actually reap something. Like, there's a lot of nuanced things around that you can deduce from that. But in clinical medicine, where help is not always available, if we're being honest. Like, our hospitals are short-staffed, people are tired, people are occupied. Sometimes you're in a recess doing something that the last time you had come across this it was in school when you were reading, or you were just reading. And then now you need to practically do it. And no one is there to necessarily show you the ropes. So you wing a lot of things, you just do things, you just think out the box and you kind of finesse it. There's a lot of finessing that comes with clinical medicine. And I found that I was taking that into my new job as well. I remember speaking to a colleague and telling them, listen, in clinical medicine, you figure things out by yourself. Like, I was good at figuring out and finessing, and now I'm taking that same thing and I'm trying to do that here, even though I don't need to. Which was the first thing that blew my mind about corporate, is that there's help, there's support. There are people who are like, listen, if you don't know, come to me. And that was so, it still blows my mind because I'm just like, what you mean help is available? Like, I do not need to struggle learning something. Everyone in my team knows that I'm fresh, brand new out the box. I am still getting to know things. Like, I'd be messaging people just like, listen, in that email, I understood only the and and uh. Those were the only words I understood. Everything else, please re-explain it to me. And everyone has been so kind and helpful towards that. But because I come from the background of sometimes you see something done for the first time and now you need to do it, now it feels like professionally I always need to prove that I have done something by actually showing proof of that. Whereas in some sectors and some companies, that's actually not the thing. Like, people want to help you, help is available. Because I am also brand new, there's a lot of training that was put onto me, a lot of training that was specific and targeted towards me. And that made me feel very, very special, I must say, because there's normal training that you do to people to onboard them in a company, but then there's also other training that you do to someone who has never worked in the sector. So you have to explain everything from scratch. And my manager and my mentor, that's what they did. And that's also another thing. I have a mentor. We have regular check-ins. We vibe and we just about whatever. Like, the other day it was about a trip and the other day it was about work, but like there is that openness in that communication. And I know boundaries, this person is not my home girl. Like, I'm not about to tell her my family's business on things like that, but just to know that the support and the help is there, like it just touches me. That wasn't a thing in clinical medicine. And I'm having to learn that if I'm going to succeed in this sector, I need to learn to ask for help. Ask for help the first time. I do not need to prove that I struggled in order to make that help valid. I can just go access it there. I can just go access it because it's there to be accessed. Another thing that I'm having to learn that I need to let go of is the whole notion that it's okay to let your well-being go in order for the name of the job. I remember when I was in clinical medicine, people take sick days so often. Like, my colleagues, anytime you're having a bad day, just take a sick day, just take a sick day, just take a sick day. Like, it's a norm. It's a norm when it comes to the hospital. People are overworked, people are stressed, you're taking care of yourself, and that's the only way sometimes you can take care of yourself is by taking a sick day. Now in this new sector, when I tell you, I haven't really, in my company, I don't see people doing that nonsense. Like, people don't do that. And that was like, wow, this is different. But also on top of that, people take care of themselves. People take care of themselves. And for me, how I've interpreted it is, for example, I do not start work at a fixed time. So it's not like a thing of you need to be at work at 8:30. Flexible hours. I work flexible hours in the sense that as long as by the end of the week I can prove that I've done 40 hours of work, my manager is happy. Now, with that being said, sometimes in clinical medicine, if I would wake up late and I don't have time to go to the gym, I wouldn't go to the gym and I'd have a bad day. Now, if I wake up late, I can tell myself, I'm like, yo, you don't have to rush over to work. Go get your 1 hour workout, or even if it's 30 minutes, go get that and then go to work. I have to remind myself that we decided to move into this industry so that we can take better care of ourselves, so that we can prioritize our well-being. Like, that is why we are here. So by you saying, no, I need to go to this, I need to go to get in, clock in, and then I sacrifice the gym even though it's going to put you in a bad mood, that is not why we moved into the sector. If you understand where I'm going, because work can start at whatever time I decide for it to start. If you do wake up late, take the L that your day is going to end later, but start it at the gym because that's the best way for you to start the day. And in that, it's something as small as that I'm learning, that you don't have to sacrifice your well-being for the job. You don't. And granted, with clinical medicine, I had bad boundaries and whatnot, but it felt like the norm that you have to overexert, you have to overgive in order for you to see the needle move. And that's not the case on this side. Another example I want to bring is the fact that in clinical medicine, you barely eat. You would be running around trying to get the ward work done, trying to leave early. Like, you hear these stories from people. And something that I learned from internship is that a hypoglycemic doctor is an unsafe doctor. That's something I want to leave with you. And I tell all my friends all the time, please, you have to prioritize your stomach because nobody else will. Now in corporate, guys, my cooler box is right next to me. I actually have to have self-discipline in not overpacking snacks for myself because it's literally just readily available. There's tea, there's coffee, there's also fruits in the kitchen. Sometimes some colleagues bring biscuits and things occasionally. Oh, I need to also have self-control there. Now it's winter time. Everybody feels like they need a little rusk and a cookie with their coffee. You do not, you know. Um, but refreshments are available, and I remind myself, I'm just like, you are allowed to eat. You are allowed to snack. Like, it's a normal human requirement. Your well-being is important. Now, I will say I am still getting used to that in the sense that I find that I work 8 hours a day. So when it comes to when I take lunch, I don't take lunch at like 12 o'clock. Like, if I say I come to the office at 9, then I'm there for 3 hours, then I take lunch. In my mind, I'm like, girl, you only work 3 hours. Now you're awarding yourself with lunch. So I am still a bit hard on myself in the sense that I tell myself, you're going to work for 6 hours. Then you're going to take lunch. Then when you come back, you only have like 2-3 hours to work. So that's how I compensate. And my colleagues are like, you take lunch so late. And I'm like, yeah, it's because I feel like I need to work before I eat. And they look at me like I'm crazy. And I'm like, it's because I have a medical background, okay? Y'all don't understand what I'm saying. But I think that's something that will stay with me. Because I'm just like, girl, your lunch you need to feel like you worked to get your lunch. But like, I don't need to sacrifice my well-being. But like, I don't know if you're catching what I'm putting down, but I'm having to unlearn that your well-being can come first and your well-being can be incorporated into your job. I think it was 2 episodes back when I was talking to Dr. Tony, who's a third year reg in anesthesiology. One of the most profound things that she said in that episode was how she goes to work, does the job, comes home, maintains boundaries with people, and understands that these people are not her family. I think I'll make another episode specifically on this because when I reflect back to my clinical medicine days, I think because we are always on call and we are so tired, you don't really regulate what's coming out of your mouth. So you overshare, you overspill, and you think that these people that you're in the trenches with are your friends. Trauma bonding, like all of that is happening. And I found that, I created friendships very quickly in that space because emotions are unregulated. We are trauma bonding. Hey, this is how we're getting through the day. This is how we're doing the job. Now in corporates, I actively have boundaries. I actively have boundaries. And I'm having to remind myself that, listen, we are here to do the job. We're not here to make friends. Not in a toxic way. Like, if a friendship happens, it happens. And I've told myself that that is okay. I think I've defrosted around the people, but I'm also not, like, I don't have a workplace bestie. I don't have that person. Whereas in clinical medicine, I think I would have had that person in like January due to, the way things were. I'm actually learning how to have boundaries. I'm learning how to keep distances from people, not in a toxic way or not in a because you're bad, but in a self-preservation way. Like, if something is to happen here, it will happen, but it will happen far in the future because I'm actually okay with just coming here and being regulated enough to stand by my own and not need another person to be a crutch at work, you know? And whether, I think that's also a whole nother conversation. Like I said, I'd love to do an episode about this. Let me know if you're keen. But yes, it's a very big conversation online as to should you be at work making best friends? Should you be at work just working? Some people have met their best friends, their loves of their lives and whatnot, their mothers-in-law, their fathers-in-law. Actually, there was this one time I was in internship and this one doctor was trying to set me up with his son. If that had been successful, I would have been that person that said, listen, I met my father-in-law at work, which is crazy. But like, yes, you can meet anyone at work, but that's a whole nother spin-off. What I'm coming back to is we need to make boundaries good again at work. We need to be able to fill our social tanks outside of work and keep work as work. And it's something that I'm learning now. Something I'm learning. and it's something that I'm becoming good with. Next up, number 4. In clinical medicine, continuous learning, as much as it's there, it's also not there, if you know what I mean. Like, you can be the person who's like, listen, I'm here, I'm at an academic hospital, I'm gonna be in my books, I'm gonna be looking at YouTube videos, I'm gonna be reading all these study research papers, like you can be on it. And then the other person can also be like, I'm just here to get paid. And honestly, I was on the side of, listen, I'm just here to get paid. Also because you don't have to do any real studying in order to progress. Like, in order to go from first year internship to second year internship, you don't need to do any more studying. In order to go into ComServe, you don't need to do any more studying. So personally for me in ComServe, in my clinical medicine years, I didn't do much reading. Or I really didn't. I was just vibing. Okay. Because there was a set career trajectory that didn't really need you to actually study or look at any extra work. Now that I'm here, out here, in the sea of corporateness, I am thinking about my career trajectory. I'm thinking about what spaces, what industries I want to be in, and how I'm going to get there. The job that I have now is very entry level. Like, I just know that this is not my ceiling. You know, I'm an up there girly, and I need to now chart the way to get there. Maybe it's because I always knew I never wanted to specialize in clinical medicine, so that's why but now I'm finding that I'm finding out on LinkedIn, like, what more courses do I need to do? Are there courses that I need to do? Any more studying, going to university? Like, what can I apply to myself to make me better for the places that I want to get into, you know? And that's also a whole conversation, is I'm busy learning about what industries doctors can be in. I'm just like, okay, what do I need to do? Like, are there courses that I can look into? Are there maybe programs that I can do that can help me not only to network, but just to expand my brain? Next up, last but not least, this actually comes onto what I said before with regards to taking breaks, okay? Like, it's okay to take a break. It's okay. It's actually encouraged. Tea time, coffee time, go eat, take a walk, go to the bathroom. All of these things were villainized in clinical medicine. Not really villainized, but like, you couldn't because there was so much work. Now, even though there's so much work, my manager be saying, go take a walk, go to the bathroom, go get a snack. Your mother calls, it's okay. Go answer that phone call. Of course, if I'm in a meeting, that's something different. But like, I can answer my phone. My family call me and they're like, yo, are you busy at work? And I'm like, I'm busy, but not too busy to answer this call. Okay, what's up? That type of vibe. And I didn't really do that. And I'm having to learn that it's okay to do that now. And yes, that's my final point. So yeah, all in all, people ask me, what is it like now being in corporate? And I must say, it's like being in a healthy relationship after a series of toxic relationships. It's a lot of unlearning and it's a lot of learning, but not in the sense of, oh my gosh, I hate this, but it's painful in the sense of, this was something that was attached to me that I'm now having to let go of in order to adopt a more healthier habit so that it can help me thrive in this environment. And it's so healing. It's beautiful. I also want it for you if you want it for yourself. And the Lord has been faithful and the Lord is good with that. Well, my dear listener, I hope you enjoyed this episode of me, like, just oversharing about how I'm watering my grass on the other side. I do not believe that the grass is greener wherever it is. It's green where you are because you provide value to where you are. It's green wherever you are because you're watering it, okay? So just water the ground that you are standing on, okay? And look down. Look down and concentrate at your own ground. Don't be looking at other people's grounds. You don't know what fertilizer they have. You don't know what extra help they have. You can only concentrate on your own ground and make it a beautiful garden for yourself. My name is Dr. Diane. This has been Redoctoring. Please do like, comment, subscribe, share the episode, follow us on the socials, do all of those good things, and I will see you in next week's episode.